Okay, so I am going to try to succinctly explain the theory of enlightenment. So, the first thing that needs to be recognized is the woeful state of humanity. Humanity is quite literally mad. In both ways you can take that word, we're mad. Literally insane, and the the part about delusion, right, is that you don't know you're in a state of delusion because you're in a state of delusion. So one must first recognize that humanity is insane and we're moving towards literal hell. So if you don't believe in climate change or understand exactly how far along we are in that process, and if you don't understand that it's irreversible and that the climate and the weather will never go back to normal, it's just one extreme after another. If you don't recognize this, then this whole thing probably won't affect you as deeply as it should. You won't grok the importance of all of this and where it's headed in the big scheme of things. So, humanity is insane, and what the theory is saying is that the point at which we started going down the insane path is way, way down. We are assuming things to be correct. The conventional understanding that science and language presents, we're assuming that to be true, and we're just running with it. But what I'm saying and what the theory is saying is that the conventional understanding, the conventional model is incorrect. So, one of these conventional models is the number system and mathematics. So, mathematics has produced technology, and this technology has humanity completely and helplessly addicted to the screen and to thoughts. So, mathematics has created everything that is making this possible. It's created everything that's on the screen. It's created the screen. The technology has created the screen and the ability to record things on the screen. And it has us helplessly addicted. And that's part of our madness, right? Is that we just keep focusing on our own creation over and over and over. And now we're in a feedback loop, basically, of incest and inbreeding, and we're becoming mad, right? Because that's what inbreeding does. It creates madness and very unnatural states. So So the number system and counting. Counting is one of these places, one of these points where humanity has gone awry. It took the wrong path, and that has led to, like I said, technology and the state that we're in, being helplessly addicted to that which the technology has created through math. So a little known fact is that the proof that 1 + 1 = 2 requires 360 pages of esoteric symbolism that maybe a few dozen people in the history of the freaking planet understands. So what I'm saying is that that's obviously not something that is fundamental that has been discovered, but that is something that has been programmed. It's a convincing. It's 360 pages of an algorithm that has convinced human consciousness that counting, which is basically addition, is what the number system is relating to. That's the information that's contained in as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that. That has been misinterpreted. The information contained within 1, 2, 3, the number system, has been not recognized as message. It's just information that has no meaning, and the utilization of that information has basically become a tool. Mathematics has become, the number system has become a tool that mathematics uses to create technology that has us addicted and will lead to our possible demise, right? Nuclear weapons, biological weapons, all of this technology, artificial intelligence. We're told that any one of these three technologies that have been developed through mathematics could kill us off. And quite frankly, probably one of them or a combination of them is killing us off right now. So what the theory says is that the information contained within 0 to infinity is a message that has meaning. And that message is series. So when you look up the definition of the number system, it's series and it's quantity, right? It has two definitions. It has two meanings. One is that it expresses itself as a series, and the other one, which doesn't have anything to do really with series itself, is addition and counting, right? Quantity. So what I'm saying is that it's not all the message is expressing a qualia. It's a quality of reality itself, no quantity. So the reason why I say that it has nothing to do with quantity is because the quantity part of it, excuse me, is made up. And that's exactly what the Principia Mathematica proof, that's 360 pages of stuff that basically no one understands. That is the creation of mathematics. It's addition. But what the theory is saying is that is an incorrect interpretation of the message, and the message is series, and series is the same system that evolution operates on. So the qualia that this is expressing is the evolution of consciousness. So there is a qualia of reality, and this is expressing the qualia of evolution. Okay? That's the meaning. There's meaning and reason to this. So it's expressing the cycle of samsara. Samsara is the cycle, the infinite, redundant cycle of birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, in a redundant, cyclical fashion for eternity, which is exactly what the number system is expressing. It's infinite redundancy. So that is what the information of the number system is expressing. That's its meaning. So it's showing us that if we keep just going on with the status quo, that we will just continue on. This is the path that human consciousness is on when they're in delusion. And let's see if this actually fits, if the model fits our experience, right? So if, let's say that this is a cycle, right? This is one complete cycle. And there can be cycles within cycles, little cycles within big cycles, within big cycles, right? Because that's what you can have, an infinite number of these within every one, right? So, excuse me, it's cold in here and I'm sorry about the nose. All right, I get the sniffles easy. All right, so where is human consciousness? So let's say that we're at the 10. And the 10 in the number system is a transition period, isn't it? It goes from expressing physical objects to expressing itself. It moves from describing physical objects. This is, right? And here, the one, well, it used to represent, so if we didn't know, if we weren't taught in school what this is all about and how we're just supposed to, when we see this one, it means something completely different than this one. It's the same one, same symbol, but this one represents, and this one represents Well, that's a little strange, wouldn't you say? If you were just learning this and you just didn't have it crammed into your head that this is just the way it is and this is the way you're supposed to look at it when you see this 1 again with the 0 next to it, right? So 1 represents, and then this 1 is representing, okay? All right, so that's a little convoluted, would you not say? It's a little confusing to the mind to have a superposition of, well, the 1 means this, but that 1 means something else as well. So what about the 0? What does the 0 represent? The 0 represents no more, it represents not, so that's redundancy to the absurd, isn't it? It's in no, the 8, the definition for the 8 doesn't say anything about the 9 at all, does it? The 8 is representing physical, those things, and it says nothing about the 9. But the 10 here basically bootstraps 11 into existence, the possibility for 11 to exist, because the 0 introduces the potentiality for the 11 to exist. It's like, oh, there's no more of those, but there could be. Well, that's just thought, isn't it? So here at the 10 is a transition period, transitionary stage, where it moves from describing physical phenomenon, whether it's a sound or an object, to describing itself. From here on, the number system is memory and projection, right? You're remembering that the 1 represents that and however fucking many that was. And it's projecting the next one as well. So you're remembering, you're putting all of this into a set. So you have to remember that you did that. Right? That's in your head. Oh, this is a set now. And then you project forward to 11. So here, it's moving basically from describing or focusing on the physical world, representing the physical realm, to just representing thought. It's all thought from here. So this is a transition period, stage, where a new redundant cycle begins. So where is human consciousness? If we are the 10, because we're the highest evolutionary on the state, on this evolutionary progress of increasing self-awareness, if we're the 10, well, what's happening with human consciousness? We're taking our attention away from the physical realm of sensations, and we're focusing on thought and the screen. And the screen, everything that's recorded and replayed on the screen is redundancy, isn't it? So human consciousness is exactly like the 10, shifting its attention away from the physical realm, and it's describing itself in a redundant fashion. Every time a recording is made from within the three-dimensional realm, a three-dimensional phenomenon, onto a two-dimensional screen, realm to be replayed later is redundancy, isn't it? So this is exactly, it fits exactly where we are. So to me, this is a better explanation for the reason of the number system. It's a message that's showing us where we came from, where we're going, and it's basically, it's just another holographic expression of samsara. It's the same expression. This is the state of delusion that we're in. We're in samsara, and we're about to begin a new cycle, and that is the digital realm. We're literally going to be moving into the digital realm because we're giving it more attention than the physical realm. Okay, so that's basically it for the number system. But now, the other message, so where we're at, so if the game is to escape this, which the major religions basically say, right? That's what nirvana is, that's what moksha is, that's what heaven is. It's getting out of this. This is the game. This is the purpose of life, is to transcend this and get the hell out of this redundant time loop that you're in, that all of human consciousness is in. So the other message is this. So so there's a zero here, and there's also a zero here. Okay? So the other thing that is completely wrong is the English language, its model that it presents as the fundamental model of reality. So I'm just going to read this. The current conventional model of thing and nothing contains paradox and is therefore incomplete and incorrect. These paradoxes are: A, is nothing included in the set of everything? Now you must realize that you might go, oh well, who cares about what thing and nothing? But this is the fundamental model of reality that the English language presents to our psyche, right? In our psyche, at the deepest level, this is how we view the world. And this is how, and therefore, this is how society grows and interacts and develops and operates. It operates on this model. So, because thing, everything, and nothing, well, that's supposed to contain all of it, right? That is, it's supposed to be all. It's supposed to be the model that explains all. I can't even say everything because there's a nothing next to it. So it's really a real mess. And as I'm going through this, please recognize that I'm not making this mess. I'm not the one talking gibberish and made this up. This is gibberish, and I'm trying to explain it. I'm trying to understand it using just normal reason, just reason, okay? All right, so the paradox contained within thing and nothing. One of them is nothing included in the set of everything? If nothing is not included within the set of everything, then it would be outside / separate from everything, negating the meaning of the word everything. If there is a phenomenon separate from everything, then that can't be everything. Again, this is not me just talking gibberish. This is actual reason being applied to the conventional model. If nothing is included within everything, nothing could not exist because it is exactly a state free of thing. Nothing in the conventional understanding of it is the lack of thing, not a lack of a thing. Thing must first exist and then go away for nothing to exist. Existing over there, if there's a thing over there, it's still a state of existing, and nothing is exactly the state of non-existence. Don't kill the messenger. It's a fucking train wreck, but we just overlook it. The other paradox that arises through the thing and nothing model is B, how does something come from nothing? The state of paradox is a flashing error sign. These inherent problems with the fundamental model of reality expressed by the English language or presented by the English language is an expression of its incorrectness. The fact that this is a gong show and a train wreck and very hard to understand and follow is an indication that it's just wrong. The model is incorrect in that it is a dualistic other than system, and reality operates on a triune other of system. For example, a curve, ready for this? A curve I made that. Oh, maybe it's upside down. All right, enough messing around. For example, a curve has two aspects, concave and convex. Here is the definition of convex. 1a, curved or rounded outward like the exterior of a sphere or circle. 1b, being a continuous function or part of a continuous function with the property that a line joining any 2 points on its graph lies on or above the graph. 2a, containing all points in a line joining any 2 constituent parts. 2b, comprising of a convex set when combined with its interior. And here's the definition of the word concave. 1, hollowed or rounded inward like the inside of a bowl. 2, arched in, curving in, used of the side of a curve or surface on which neighboring normals to the curve or surface converge, on which lies the chord joining 2 neighboring points of the curve or surface. Okay, that basically the point that I'm getting at is that no part of the description of convex refers to the concave. The existence of the convex is in no way dependent upon the concave, and no part of the description of the concave refers to the convex. The existence of the concave is in no way dependent upon the convex. Concave is dependent upon an interpretation on how to describe a curve. Convex is dependent upon an interpretation on how to describe the same curve. Concave and convex are other ofs. Curve, convex, concave, superposition. The conventional understanding of nothing is that it is other than thing, but thing is not other than nothing. Thing is a physical object. So the state of this system is the equivalent of defining convex as A, curved or rounded outward like the exterior of a sphere or circle, B, being a continuous function or part of a continuous function with the property that a line joining any 2 points on its graph lies on or above the graph, and defining concave as the absence of convex. Right? If we were to apply the same sort of model that is thing and nothing to this, to curve, this is what it would be. So this is, of course, absurd. A curve is the state of concave and convex in superposition in symbiosis. A fundamental model of reality should express this superposition, this symbiosis. The triune fundamental model of reality expresses such a state. In the same way that curve is the superposition of concave and convex as existing symbiotically as other of, reality is the superposition of everything and nothing existing symbiotically. But the current conventional understanding of everything and nothing is anything but unified and symbiotic. Instead, we have a model of a system that is in continual conflict with itself. This is clearly incorrect, and this incorrectness is manifest as the complex, convoluted, paradoxical, and self-referential nature of the system. Reality is triune as expressed in the fundamental model of reality, not dual as expressed as the thing-nothing model. So let's say that reality is green. Green is that which everything arises. Let's say that there's a universe, a reality, that's just two things, just two phenomena. The most basic model of a system that you can possibly get, all right? And the two aspects of this world are yellow and blue. There's just yellow and there's just blue. That's all there is in this world. So the source of the yellow and the blue is green. So when you describe green, the aspects of it are blue and yellow. Okay? So it's not, so you have to look at it inverted. So it's not like there's yellow and blue and you add them together to create green. There's green, which is the reality, and the superposition is that It's both yellow and blue. All right, so what is done? So this is another message, right? So this is a message. It's a holographic. Each one of these is a holographic expression of the mechanism through which all of this arises, right? It's holographic. It's the same. It's expressing the same system over and over and over. Every time you look at a fundamental qualia of reality, this same triune system invariably appears. So this obviously is the fundamental model of reality, and it's triune in nature. So what the model has done is adapt the language of thing and nothing from its starkly dualistic and adversarial against each other to language, to a model that fits this, because it has to. I didn't make this up. Something fundamental is discovered, right? It's not created. So I've just witnessed this. I've recognized it, and I've slightly adapted the language, the English language, but this subtle adaptation is the most profound thing ever. Because no longer is there nothing, as in a lack or a void or a non-existence. How can non-existence exist? That's another paradox. And it's screaming, well, it fucking can't. There's something wrong. So I've adapted, this model has adapted the language. So there isn't, so what used to be nothing, as in not a thing, or the lack of a thing, the absence, there's no such thing as non-existence. And this model, this adaptation, has gotten rid of that. So what used to be nothing, as in a lack or a void or a non-existence of a thing, now there can be non-things. And that which used to be the void or non-existence is now potential, which is basically just nothing that can be described, which is what the Tao is. The Tao is not a void or non-existence. It's just nothing that can be described. So now you put these two together. So the zero, right? The zero, which conventionally is thought of as the nothing, is now viewed as potential and life itself. It's the source. The zero in the number system is not the lack of these. It's the source of these. It's from which this arises and passes. So the zero is what connects both of these fundamental messages together. Okay? So this is one complete series. So in order to get out of this, we have to stop here, right where we are now, and not continue on into the next iteration of samsara. Right? So if this is source, then this physical realm, the 13.8 billion years of it, the whole thing, this is what this is expressing. This from 1 to 9 here, this is all physical, the physical realm, the experience of the physical realm. And now this is the movement into the digital realm, into accepting that the two-dimensional digital realm will be the new reality. This is where we're moving into right now. This is what this is showing us. So the zero is the source, okay? So the zero is also seen over here, right? So what I'm saying is that the message here is that you are God, right? So God, right? So mind, body, spirit is the holographic expression of an individual, right? Of a person, if you will. And it's the same expression, you see, right? Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not incredibly profound, actually the most profound. How can you have a more profound message than you are God, right? You are God. So this one is saying you're God because this is you, right? You are mind, body, spirit. Can't see this thing. You are mind, body, spirit, which is also expressed everywhere. This is why it's a message, is because it keeps popping up everywhere that fundamental qualia of reality are being described. So this message tells you that you're God, and this message in conjunction with this message shows that if you don't realize that you're God now, then you're gonna end up going along for the ride for the next huge iteration of samsara. So you see what I mean, right? Is that this whole thing, all of it is a game, a labyrinth to escape from, a mystery to solve. And these are clues within the mystery implanted by you, the creator, that's forgotten all this to help you remember. And the misinterpretation, right? So it's giving meaning and reason to the information. Right now, there's no reason or meaning to the numbers system, is there? It's just information that human consciousness is using as a tool to create technology. There's no meaning to it, is there? But what I'm saying is that this theory injects or realizes the meaning and the reason for this. And the incorrect interpretation of it is the development of mathematics. So there's this ongoing debate that's been through all out of history of mathematics, is whether mathematics is discovered or created. Right? This is one of the deepest philosophical questions about mathematics. So this state that I'm describing of it being a message that's being misinterpreted or not acknowledged as a message even, well, until the meaning of that message is properly interpreted, it will keep expressing that message. It just, so a message is implanted with the intent of it being discovered, obviously, right? So this has been discovered, but it's been misinterpreted. So the misinterpretation is the attempt to try to find the correct interpretation. So that's the creation. So what I'm saying is that it's pretty obvious to me that the state that I'm describing of this being a message that's been improperly interpreted fulfills their criteria of discovering and creating. The creation of mathematics and its continuing expansion for infinity, right? Gödel's incompleteness theorem, is the attempt to find the correct interpretation. But you have to go back. You can't keep going forward. Keep going forward equals this. And keep going forward just leads to more madness. Do you understand how the radical approach that needs to be taken here? There needs to be something completely new and radical. Because if we keep going on the same route that we always have in this fucking time loop, it's just going to be more of this. And this point right now, it's a death, right? All of everything that Maya has created is collapsing. And this is going to be hell. The transition period, the transition state from here, where we are, to here, where we're going, looking out of that camera instead of into it, this is death and hell for those consciousnesses that don't get this, that just keep blindly going on in delusion, following thoughts and being completely addicted to the screen and everything that mind has produced, following the incorrect interpretation of these messages. Now, just because this is radical doesn't mean that it's loopy. None of anything that I've said, right, is crazy, like Scientology crazy or Mormon crazy, right? It's not some sort of story about trillions of years and aliens and talking salamanders and, right? It follows, this theory makes more sense than the conventional theory of what this is and what of and the gong show that is the anything, something, everything and nothing train wreck. This makes more sense than all of that. But now here's a really, really good analogy. So there's a documentary called The Puppet Master, and there was a lady in it where this guy, it was during when the IRA were planting bombs and there was a lot of terrorism going on in Britain because of the Ireland thing. Anyway, he convinced 3 people to go on to that they were in danger of being killed, I guess, in this as an act of terrorism or whatever. So anyway, there was a point in the documentary where he was taking them on. They were in a car and they were going across the country because he told them they had to leave immediately because they were in danger. Their lives were in danger. And there's a point where they stop the car, and she's really pressing him on who he is, and she wants validation. She doesn't quite completely believe what he's saying. And he gave her just enough information that about her bank statements and just enough information that he convinced her that he was literally a British agent like James fucking Bond. And she basically, along with the other 2 people there, shrugged their shoulders, didn't investigate anymore, and at that very point, early, at the very beginning of this, they just accepted what he was saying to be true. And it wasn't. It was all manufactured, the whole thing. And like a dozen years later, this woman's life became completely delusion. It was everything that she was doing, just on the run, never had a home, always on the move, always just fear. But what I'm getting at is that humanity is in this state of being programmed by a cult leader and just accepting everything that the cult leader says. We're in a deep state of delusion. And we need to go back and question right where I'm talking about. We need to focus in on counting itself, the construction, the manufacturing, the programming of human consciousness to accept through the 360 pages of programming, basically, that counting is the correct interpretation of this, is the correct use or interpretation of this information. It's not. This is the point where we entered a complete realm of delusion because we accepted what the cult leader, Maya, ignorance, academia, whatever you want to call it, we accepted that counting is valid and that quantity is actually somehow some sort of qualia, but it isn't. So what I'm saying, again, without being super redundant, is that this theory of enlightenment has properly, correctly interpreted these messages. And what makes it so difficult to accept is that it's, one, so simple that basically everyone can understand it, and we don't need these brilliant academics in their ivory towers trying to figure this stuff out. So of course, academia is not going to accept this at all. It's going to be completely rejected by all of the mathematicians because they don't want to be told and shown that everything that they do is actually leading consciousness further into delusion rather than into truth and reality. They can't shift gears. They have to just keep doubling down, and therefore this will be rejected by pretty much every single mathematician, every single scientist, and basically also every single philosopher, because it's saying that thought itself, every system of symbol, is leading us deeper into delusion. So I'm not sure if this video has made it any more clear, but I hope it has. And I hope that one of these academics, a PhD person, because this is what this is for. This is specifically for people who are investigating reality at these deeper levels. It's for every single mathematician out there. It's for every single scientist and every single philosopher. But again, this is going to be the hardest demographic to actually try to get to accept this, because again, it shows how everyone's been wrong the whole way. It's not that mathematics doesn't work. I'm not saying that mathematics doesn't work. I'm saying it works exactly as a tool of Maya to pull consciousness deeper into the delusion, deeper into samsara, so it won't question what's going on right now as we get sucked in to the digital realm.